Since the DM got his ass kicked
Yeah.
quite thoroughly.
He got
tonight's
his ass
session.
handed him tonight.
A little bit.
We'll talk about that.
We will. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frostside Chat, our weekly live stream post-session discussion. We talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 86. If you've not watched that session yet, please go do that now because there will be spoilers. I'm your DM, Eric, and joining me we have Val Robbins, player Chris.
Habanero barbecue almonds.
Oh, shout out to Big Nut.
Not bad at all.
Barbecue almonds. That sounds spicy, though. Habanero?
It's actually not. I think it's just a flavor. Like, it's not actually that it's spicy at all. It's more barbecue than habanero. Anyway.
Edmonds, player Raymond.
Hello.
What nuts are you eating? Are you eating nuts?
They're almonds.
Frosted mini wheats.
Oh, shit.
Frosted mini.
The opposite of nuts.
The wheat.
I haven't had frosted mini wheats in a long ass time.
I want to get pictures.
I'm more of a
Pictures of the game.
Cheerios guy.
What are Cheerios? Are those corn? What are those
What?
made of? There's also wheat.
It's wheat, yeah.
It's wheat? Okay.
It's all wheat. It's just different methods.
Yeah, it's just like
That
wheat.
one's
Well,
shredded.
yeah,
It's different ways of putting the wheat into my body.
That's right.
Yeah, we can talk about this. Sylvan, the idea is the city is under specifically an emergency lockdown, and so this super tight security has been created, and then the only way into the central building is by performing all those rites. So normally you don't normally have to do that. It's just you can just go in and have fun at the ballroom and wait at the lounge and stuff. But because the city was in this lockdown, that's why you had to go through all these processes. Yeah, that would suck if you had to do all that to get inside.
Every time.
To get inside your office building. Like, I gotta light my hand on fucking fire. Like, man, this sucks.
I think Heather/Frey said that the city's been here a lot longer than the darkness has been here. Is that true?
Yes.
Mhm.
I thought that
Darkness
maybe the
is-
city crashed and that's what triggered it also.
Mm-mm. Yeah, the
I think the Mythalar turning back on triggered it. Because the city's been down here for a long time. The city's just been dead this entire time. But I think the Mythalar reactivating all the energy coming back or whatever. I still don't know if it's the Mythalar doing it. I still think it's the goddess doing it. I mean, it's all, we're not entirely sure right now.
I was gonna say I don't know how much I can actually say because we might still be learning about that. But
Do we know what triggered the Mythalar to come on?
I don't think we do. Well,
go ahead.
I think we do. I think it was Ness and Valish fucking with the globe thing and like trying to find the city. Because we found that whatever what's it called? What's the globe thing called?
Ori.
The big lab.
Ori
the big lab.
thing?
Orrery. Yeah, Orrery. We found the
Orrery.
Orrery that was like, I don't know, doing a bunch of energy shit to the city, trying to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes back quite a ways. But the idea was whenever Nass stole this MacGuffin from the Arcane Brotherhood and connected it to their machine to try to figure out what it is that they're seeing, that drew this big energy, and the Mythalar reactivated, and then it came back and like destroyed a big chunk of the lab, destroyed her body, and got the attention of Auril, quite obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, the timeline I was trying to reach is that, like, yeah, Etherin's been down here for millennia, but the Mythalar being turned back on suddenly and starting to do its whole ripping through space-time, that's only been happening for whatever, it's been a couple months of time, I suppose.
Right.
And however long the campaign's also lasted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this session, we're not necessarily off book, but it's a tricky part of the book where it basically says, hey, Avarice should show up at some point with her forces, and her and Valen aren't going to work well together.
They are?
They aren't.
Oh.
They're mutually exclusive to each other.
Yeah.
And then, run with that. It didn't really have anything like, this is where they have this, confrontation thing. And then everything about Valish and Nass is... I greatly expanded their roles. They were not nearly involved, so all their stuff has been...
This goes back to what we were talking about before, where we were talking about like the first 2/3 of the story were like separated from the last third, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's so weird to me. Because it seems like they're so integral to like the story. I mean, at this point, it's more the story that you've written than it is the story from the book, I suppose. But
Which is it's like your Storm Kings. I mean, it
yeah,
just kind of, this one at least had more of a location to work with. It wasn't all over the Sword Coast or something, but yeah, I had to write a lot of the chunks to make them fit together.
Right.
And this was part of the climax of those storylines, and we can talk about how you guys thought, going into this would happen, this would play out. But in my mind, I'm thinking, at least for Valish and Nass, they basically don't have any more use in the story at this point. Like, this is kind of where I'm bringing them to. I mean, if you guys wanted to try to make a deal, maybe, but in my opinion, I was like, Avarice is willing to make a deal still, but these two are really like, all right, we're tipped our hands. We're this close to the finish line, and they're probably gonna make a foolish choice of like, we're just gonna power
That was
ahead.
the one. Yeah, okay. That was the part where I was like, okay, I guess they're just going full speed now.
Yeah.
Like,
they
they're
think
just
with the
gonna fight
Ice
to the
Devil,
death.
they've got more power on their
Yeah.
side, and maybe they can try to take you guys down, which clearly they were very, very mistaken about that. You guys, I guess I had kind of forgotten our well, not fully rested, but I'm trying to think. You had the one Wellspring battle.
We had the Wellspring battle, but we didn't get to do much in that fight. Like,
Yeah.
if you remember, a lot of us were shut down for a large
That's
portion
true.
of the fight. So as far as resources go, we were pretty fresh going into this one.
And then you hadn't really done a battle in like 2 sessions, so really you're almost pretty fresh faced, like level 14 going into this fight. And this wasn't necessarily meant to be a big end boss fight anyway. Like, that's this was just kind of a event thing that was going to happen. I didn't expect you guys necessarily absolutely destroy me like you did, but we can talk about the tactics there.
I do want to talk. Well, first I want to talk about the like of all the ways this could have played out.
Yeah.
Like, was there ever a situation where we ended up fighting Avarice versus fighting Ness and Valish?
I wasn't. She was always going to be inclined to back off.
Yeah.
But as always with D&D, combat's always on the table. If somebody attacks one of her forces or takes a shot at her, then she would obviously want to throw down.
Mm-hmm.
But she's at least more of a scheming character that's like, I know like these two look murderous, and I'm, it looks like they're about to throw down, so I'm okay with like backing off here and biding my time. Whereas the other two have done the scheming and they're like reached the end of their rope.
Yeah.
So I maybe pulled a little bit of trick where I like teased the fact like, oh shit, all these, but then I was like, all right, as long as you guys do what I think you're gonna do, what you did is kind of just talk to Avarice and maybe try to even hash out a deal, then she would accept that and try to back off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we knew it was gonna come to this with those two. Like, we knew that eventually it was gonna come to blows, right? Yeah. I think this is probably the best. Or sorry, go ahead, Rime.
I was gonna say they seemed scarier before. Now,
because we were like I just said, like fresh face 14 level.
Well,
we're like,
it's funny, you guys, when we first encountered them back at Oral's Abode, you guys were probably several levels ago too. Like, literally, you guys have leveled up since seeing them last.
But we also so getting into the fight.
Yeah.
We fucking shut that shit down like immediately.
Yeah.
Like, before the fight even started, I was like looking at my character sheet and going, okay, this is when I use Force Cage. This is it. This is the perfect opportunity. There's 3 characters, and only one of them is like the front line, like tanky, gonna be the damage dealer, tanky guy. I can just take him out of the fight entirely.
Mm-hmm.
I was also banking on the fact, I think I said this at one point in the session, that once they're dead, the contract's over. Like, he would have no reason to attack us anymore, because whatever deal he made with them would be resolved because they're dead.
I would agree with that, and I forgot to do a little scene too, where like the souls get like sucked into his thing. But all that, it's interesting because he was stuck in the Force Cage. So I'm not sure how that even would have interacted. Yeah, but I meant to do some kind of scene where when they die, like he like holds out his palm and like the soul's like sucked into it or something.
Yeah. What I didn't expect is for Edmund to also shut down one of the spellcasters.
Yeah.
So that we really only had one person to deal with amongst the 5 of us.
Yeah, and I didn't give them magic. I think I did give Nass magic resistance, but I think I forgot about it at some point. He didn't have it. he doesn't have counterspell. Her ghost form, I think, does have counterspell, but her frost druid form did not.
Oh.
And I really tied her to like, all right, she's going to use her frost druid body first, and then once that dies, she'll pop out into her like second stage boss form. I did worry for a second. I was like, oh wait, what if they actually don't take out her frost druid form and leave her like
Rochelle
that?
actually like floated that idea, and I countered it.
Yeah,
but
you guys were like, she, ghost is no big deal. We should take this out first. Because I was like, hopefully I can go a little bit harder with the frost. What I probably should have done is altered her frost druid stat block and made it a little bit more interesting. But it's like Ice Storm is like because it's not very powerful. It's like a CR4 or something. I mean, you fought a bunch of those before a couple levels ago as like a minion, so it's not a very strong thing. So by layering that, I think I might have made it too easy. Although I thought it was impressive. It's like, oh, I actually got all these minions. And you guys are like, all right, massive AoE damage left and right. And then all my minions just fucking die instantly. I'm like
three of us had AoE effects. We just threw out instantly. Like immediately.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, shit, okay.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, we really did spend a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Like, we went hard on this fight.
Yeah, we did.
And consequently, we really just sort of handled it.
Yeah, it's high-level D&D. I'm finding increasingly challenging to create a satisfying battle that doesn't involve stun-locking people.
Yeah.
Because you guys are so powerful and deal so much damage, have so many ways of locking me down or just dealing damage or in some ways just incapacitating me. That if I don't do that to you guys, it just feels brutal as hell unless I can get like lucky with a random crit or something. And this was a case, like you said, you guys were pretty fresh-faced, had a lot of resources, you spent a lot of resources, but it was brutally effective. That Evoker Wizard is supposed to be a pretty impressive stat block.
Oh yeah, we never saw him do any.
He never got to do a thing. He got locked down immediately, and then literally he had a +5 save, but you guys really have great saving throws at this level, like 18, even as a +5. Like
Edmund and Valravn both have got 20 with their primary spellcasting stats.
Yeah.
So 18's just like.
And at some point, I thought maybe you'd put unsettling words on him to even keep him locked down further, but I still couldn't even get out of it. Yeah, so effectively after at the first round you locked down one of them, and then by the end of the first round you had locked down 2 of the 3 people.
Yep.
And then my big surprise was like, okay, when the Frost Druid died, then she comes out and then she's this ghosty stat block, which I kind of hacked together and apparently destroyed her character sheet in the process. I'm still not sure what happened there.
Yeah. I've seen that before, though. Where
broken as hell.
Roll the way it shows. Yeah.
Yeah, it was messed up. And at that point, I'm floundering. Like, I don't even know what. Like, she's got all these spells, but I.
How much is this going to actually affect anything? Like,
yeah. So I was like, oh, let's do her auto attack, and I think I gave them both inflated hit points for like boss level amounts, and it just ended up being a drag because it was so hilariously one-sided that like when I killed off Naz, she still had like 30 some hit points, but I'm just like, I don't even want to go another round of her because it doesn't matter at this point. Like, you guys have taken like no damage. I didn't even I didn't want to continue that fight from my point of view, so I was like, I'm just all right. That final hit is gonna do it.
That was a good place to end it. I feel like, at that point, like once it's not strategically significant, it just becomes like what's narratively significant, right? Like, where is it a good place narratively to end this?
Yeah,
because strategically, it's been over.
Yeah, I mean, her turn was coming up, and I was like, I could have her cast some. I was even looking at the spells, going, okay, this one doesn't even affect until it's like that person's turn. So I don't know. I was like, all right, whatever, just kill her. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
So it was very effective. Go ahead.
During the battle, I know we were really far away, and I had Edmund hide on purpose. But did you would it have been possible for them to just rush to Edmund and try to break concentration?
At that point, all I had was the Frost Druid, and I don't remember if she had another turn or not. Like, Frey was in her face, so there's not much I could have done, I think. I don't even think she has any basic ranged attacks. She just had a bunch of spells. And then when she got, by the time she was a ghost, I think Valish was almost dead at that point. And yeah, I could have sent my minions after. I could have done a lot of things, but you guys just slaughtered them all really quickly. And then by the time it was her turn, again, I kind of wanted to roleplay it, which maybe was to her detriment, that she wanted to protect Valish. And so she was constantly trying to hit, the tanks, which is obviously
in her face.
Yeah, very detrimental for the DM to do. But it feels good for the players, I think, to have the tanks do their role. So I think you guys played it smart. Like I said, Edmund, you rushed, you locked down somebody, had concentration, you rushed around a building and stayed back. That was just smart tactics. So I kind of have to reward that. And at the moment, like, yes, they're smart, but they're also very desperate. They're, pushing the pedal to the metal. And at least in her case, she really did care about him and wanted to protect him. And so that was, obviously unparalyzing by her attacking you would have been the more prudent thing, but she had all these monsters in her face. So it was a tricky situation to be made for sure. I think you guys played the tactics part really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
They did seem kind of alone in the world.
Yeah.
Makes you a little sad for them.
Yeah.
Right. After all that, that's one thing that's a slight bummer, is that after all that, like, building those two up and like how much characterization you gave them over the course of the campaign, we didn't even let Valish talk at the end. Like, he didn't even get to say anything.
Yeah.
We just killed him before he could even, like, emote. Like,
yeah, and doing like villainous,
he
things.
never got to, like, So I did kind of feel bad for both of them at the end, where it's like, these two are, they did their best.
Yeah, I'm hoping it wasn't too anticlimactic, just from because it'd be so one-sided with a fight that we had maybe hyped up a little, or at least a confrontation we had hyped up some. I was even I didn't get a chance to talk about how part of their motivation was that the Mythalar might have the power to restore and create a new body for Ness Lantomir. So that was so yes, they did want to claim the power for themselves, but that was to, like, help restore her and try to reverse the damage that was done.
Yeah.
In fairness, they did initiate initiative.
Yes, they did.
They did. They attacked it.
They did. Yeah, they did. That was definitely part of it. Like I said,
we always knew they were going to do that at some point. We talked about
and I think
for months now. We talked about, like, they're going to attack us at some point, right?
Because of the Ice Devil thing, I think that's why they felt they had to. Because before, they had the bargaining chips. They had the other parts of the right, so they would have, maybe this whole scene would have played out a little bit differently. But because you sent that Ice Devil out to collect the clues, and now you have all the clues and you don't need them, they know that. So they're like, fuck, we just have to go hard now. We made the bargain with the Ice Devil now, because this is the last desperate chance we have, is this recruiting tool. And so now we got to go hard on it. And that was something I tried to develop over this week in terms of how do I work this social scene. And I was like, I really think there's not a way they can get out of this fight with Nass and Valish's faction, but there is a way they can get out of the fight pretty easily with the Avarice faction, is kind of how I determined in my notes.
Yeah. So they, just to clarify, they did in fact sell their souls to that devil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I said
I have less pity for them now then.
Yeah, I meant to have a scene of that happening, basically, but I got distracted because the Ice Devil was locked in a force cage.
I don't know if it would have worked.
That's true.
I mean, no magic can pass through a force cage.
Yeah, so maybe the Ice Devil is super pissed because he got denied the souls.
So you actually saved them.
You saved their souls.
In a way, you saved. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was a bummer for the DM, but I think it sounded like, chat was saying it was a good session. You guys had fun doing it.
It was fun for us to sort of wail on these guys.
Kind of got to have your nice revenge on these pain in the ass villains that have been around for a while.
I think that was it. Like, we were already antagonistic towards both of them, so much so that, like, it was kind of, like, cathartic to sort of just really, like, shut them down and lay into them and just really handle them.
Yeah.
What could Valish do? Like, what did he not do that he could do?
So that's the Evoker Wizard stat block, which I think is from one of the more recent monster books. He's got just a lot of AoE attack. He's got Ice Storm, he's got Lightning Bolt, he's got Wall of Ice. However, his normal stat block that doesn't even count as spells, which is an important thing that a lot of more modern monsters are doing so they can avoid the counterspell bullshit that players will do. He can basically just cast Fireball as an action. It's on a recharge, and he can sculpt it so it doesn't hit his own allies.
Yeah.
And he has an auto attack he can do 3 times that deals force damage. as either a melee or ranged attack. He's super powerful, and I gave him a fuck ton of hit points as a wizard, and you motherfuckers still shut him down.
That's what I was noticing, and that's also kind of now that you're pointing out, like I get why you didn't, but that's why I was wondering about how he's the fight. Like, why aren't they trying harder to get him out of a stun lock? Because I was like, he actually has a bunch of hit points. He is lasting for a long time.
Yeah.
If they were able to, I guess it was just her. If she was able to get him out of stun lock,
yeah, it would have been great. But like I said, you guys did such a good job of even preventing that much. Yeah. And Edmund, again, you had guys in my face. You had Edmund run all the way back there in the distance. You shut the other guy down. Like, yeah, tactically it would have made sense, but I just didn't see a good way of trying to do that.
Right.
Yeah, he's very strong. And I gave them not max hit points, but close to max as being kind of boss monsters, which means they both had around 150 hit points. Wow. And so he took, even with multiple auto crits from Frey, the first round, I think she did 50. And then the second round, she probably did another 50 or something. And then, so it took a couple rounds, but he did.
But she was, chopping
by the time Edmund, your reindeer, charged him, he had like 3 hit points left, I think. So you were calculating all this damage. I was just kind of sitting there going, like, he's fucking dead, man. Okay. But I'm going to let you do your thing. Yeah, so that was, and then obviously that was a hacked together fight. I had no idea what the balance would be like. It's almost impossible to try to figure that out with all the different things you can do. Early level D&D, you can be like, okay, this person's got this spell, so maybe that'll be a thing. And at this point, it's just like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen or what kind of thing they're gonna come up with. I'm just gonna try to do what I can do, and we'll see what happens. But I obviously went into the fight knowing you guys, action economy wise, certainly beat them. Even after I summoned those minions, were not meant to be very strong, and they were laughably died like almost instantly.
Did they do anything? I guess one of them like sucked some energy out of Frey, didn't they?
I think one of them got an attack off, and that was about it. Yeah, the other one tried to attack. I think 2 of them died instantly, and then 2 of the others got to attack once, and only one of them ended up hitting.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah. I think Naslin lasted like 2 rounds, also maybe 1 or 2 rounds.
I don't know what she had as ghost form, but I think all she really did was the attack that she did on Frey, I think.
Yeah, I was for her I used the Deathlock Mastermind for a good chunk of her abilities, and then gave her and then scaled that up like several levels, and then gave her a bunch of just kind of evil sounding spells. But like I said, by the it was at some point I was just like, I don't even know what's, I guess I probably should have gone a little bit harder with the spells versus her auto attack. Although her auto attack I thought was pretty decent. The Shadow Bolt thing.
Oh yeah, that was pretty neat.
She had that life draining aura. I probably missed doing that. It's supposed to be anytime you end your turn within 10 feet of her that affects you. But again, the first time it happened, but then she like flew up in the air. So I'm like, that was to avoid ranged attacks. But then of course she's not doing the life drain. So it was tactically just really tricky to run that.
Yep.
So the right part of it, I kind of went back and forth on this, on whether I wanted every person to do it or whether one person does it, because it doesn't clarify in the book, and we talked about this in the crafting streams and had a bunch of discussions about it. And in fact, in the book, I think it implies everybody has to do it, because when you do it, it makes you be able to pass through the force field. I think the idea is every single person has to
open up. It just makes you
right. And I went back and forth on whether that was going to be tedious or fun for everybody to go through this. And ultimately, I looked at the time and said, and Edmund was even saying, "Okay, I'll do it." And then and I was like, "I think that's probably fine."
I mean, what would have been different if all of us had done it? Like, I don't.
Well, narratively, it just forces everybody to tell their secrets, everybody to coax somebody else to get the secret. So that part might have been fun, but I don't know if it would just get tedious. I
think that 5 people, I think that would have gotten tedious.
I think so.
5 runs of that whole thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
I did have some fun secrets prepared for Valin and Katowice, though, so you don't get to hear those.
Oh, if we had pressed them to reveal their secrets to get it,
in case we went that route. Yep.
Did Reese and Rochelle leave before that happened?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, it was towards the end.
They left when the fight was over and we were approaching the gate.
Yeah. So we would have to make up something weird for the 2 of them, I guess.
That's true. We would have had to make stuff up for them anyway. Yeah,
and that's probably part of it too. Is I made that decision on. So I really wasn't sure going into it. I was kind of having it flip flopping in my mind about how the session would go and whether or not that would be a thing. But Ultimately, I think that was the right call because we got to spend more time on the one, and it ended up being really funny and awesome that went through the motions of that. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And we had kind of been planning for it this entire time. We picked up the mask, we picked up the bones.
Yeah.
We did stuff that, like, to prepare for this kind of run through of the Octad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I felt good about that. We came prepared for class.
Yeah. And then so you officially finally leave the city of Ithrin behind and enter this new area. I can't really talk about it much because we only just entered there. I will say that one decision I made is that there is a map that I didn't show you guys because I didn't want to fucking decorate it, knowing it was all an illusion.
Oh,
And that most likely somebody would fuck up the illusion, and then I can
cut off the illusion,
and then it cuts off the illusion, and then all that, yeah. And then it's like I don't have to actually.
You had a ruined hall map. You didn't want to also make a non-ruined hall map.
And in a way, this was, playing in a VTT. When you show people on a map, they're in a very different mode than if you're just describing them a scene. And I thought maybe by describing them a scene, they're not even sure this is actually a full area or something. I'm just going to walk you through this cinematically. Yeah. And you're just kind of exploring the space. So I played around with that a little bit. I'm interested to see how you feel about that. Obviously, Frey kind of took charge of the scene and situation, but in terms of basically from the moment you guys went up the elevator and then all these different scenes happened. And I still haven't shown you that map because we ended the session basically before combat.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I agree with you. I think by not putting us the combat map or the battle map, it kind of creates the like, oh, this is an encounter versus a battle sort of, mindset. I do wonder though. If you had furnished an entire hall, decorated a map, and put tokens on there for illusion people, if we would have assumed that was reality then, because just subconsciously the DM wouldn't have made this map if it wasn't real. You know what I mean? Because I think Heather was pretty much where I was mentally with immediately. It was this doesn't make any sense.
Right. It's supposed to be very suspicious, obviously. Yeah.
So going up and trying to grab somebody. It's a very Frey way of handling the situation.
Right. Yeah, and I was kind of hoping that would be the case. The only issue was oh man, if we just had a big fight outside, we really want to just have a big fight inside. But I was I think it's an interesting thing to happen.
It'll be a new session. I feel like
that's true.
I feel like if it had been 9:30 and you'd been okay, now you're fighting brains and jars.
Yeah.
Then it would have been all right.
What's fun in this situation though is you fought a brain in the jar before. One brain, and it was a pain in the ass for all of you to fight, and now you've got multiples around the area.
That's the one that was stunning us?
Yes. A cone stuns or something that it does. Yeah. Those are hilarious.
Great. Yeah. So
there was an area.
I guess the logic. Well, I don't know if you can maybe not talk about it if we're going to get into a social situation later, but I guess the logic is that these brains were mindlessly living out some previous version of their lives with all these extra people.
Certainly a theory.
And we've interrupted that, so they're mad now.
Yeah, you can infer what you like from that, or ask various NPCs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely getting close to the end game now. At this point, we're pretty much sort of on rails, although there might be a little bit of space for you to explore.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have officially finished the city exploration part of the campaign, which I think spent 10 full sessions in, if you include this one.
Yeah. You know what I didn't talk
biggest
about?
Area so far.
We haven't gotten too much into Edmund's secret. And I'm talking about he's been he's actually on the run, or a spy. He was spying on the wizards. Sorry, there's an almond right.
The nuts have come back. They're getting their revenge somehow. Those habanero nuts you've been just inhaling somehow. I have the regrets.
It's almonds have the shells, and sometimes the shell gets stuck in the throat. And that's
Mhm.
what.
Yeah, we got to hear.
Anyway,
Edmund.
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'd have to go all the way back to like the early session where like I tried to kind of tie your stories in a little bit, where you were hired to basically spy on Edmund, and Edmund had.
Well, that's right. That's what I was doing there. I
yeah,
forgot about that.
right.
Yeah.
So I will mention, as fulfilling as it has been to rewrite this whole fucking campaign, I've had to spend so much time and energy doing that I haven't been able to do a lot of the personal quest arc stuff that I did, for example, in Tomb, because I didn't have to fucking write Tomb like I did this one.
Right.
So, but I also think the stories ended up a lot more interesting here than Tomb's was. So I wish I could do all of that, but unfortunately, I feel like there's some things I think I've done well when it comes to character stories, but others that I think have unfortunately just been not forgotten about, but just not as prevalent as I was planning when I first started the campaign. I was planning on maybe doing some fun things, but it's been unfortunately I've just left a lot of that behind as I've tried to just keep all these reoccurring NPCs in play and have all this other stuff
happens
going on.
as you sort of develop a story. You're like, okay, these other elements that I also have in the wings just don't fit with where I've taken the story anymore. I feel like what comparing it to Tomb, I feel like the personal stuff was just slightly more front loaded in this campaign.
Yeah.
Like we did like my stuff, but it was in that fort when we first met Avarice.
That's true.
Thimbleweeds was turning into a bug. So
yeah, that was about halfway. Yeah,
that was about halfway through. Celeste was when we dealt with the alien folks. That was probably about 2/3 of the way through. That was not too long ago.
Yeah,
I say that, but it's probably like 6 months ago.
Frey was an interesting one where I thought the cannibalism would be a thing, but she's so like accepting of it that it never became like a big thing to like for her to reckon with.
Yeah.
So instead, I kind of shifted the whole. I think it was like the Goliaths that she ended up, or really any kind of big, or like the giant that she talked to. Like those are all kind of like mini moments for her,
right?
Where she has some kind of monstrous thing she has to talk down.
Yeah, the cannibalism as a secret didn't
right.
Really,
yeah,
was like, she was just sort of like, yeah, I accept it, and I'm okay with it.
And similar to Edmund, where I haven't really been able to capitalize on his secret as much, and yet we've had fun with the whole Chardalyn obsession, so we just kind of rolled with that.
Yeah, you just kind of it's more like finding what character-wise, what's the important.
So it's maybe been a little bit more organic in terms of like things developing during the campaign.
Yeah, I think so. Because like with Tomb, and I think also with my campaigns too, like it's more like you start with like, okay, here's the characters, here's how they're tied into the story. Here's what I've written for them, story wise. God, what was Rochelle's Triton character?
Gillian.
Like you had a whole like dungeon for her, right?
Yeah.
Like her side quest, and that was very like written. But like this one, it has felt slightly more like organic.
Yeah.
As we've discovered, like what's sort of the important parts of these characters.
But that's why I wanted to rope Edmund into that Avarice conversation with you, because I remember it was a tie-in, and she has picked up on his obsession with Chardalyn and the ancient city and finding all this loot and stuff, and she was trying to. Honestly, I just remember what was it? It was in Tomb, I think. Somebody like convinced George to like join her side. What was that? Some like villainous NPC. Somebody in the chat might be able to help me.
I can't remember, but
I mean, it was kind of a half joke, but at one point it was like, no, George is on board with helping this NPC out.
I remember this. And like she was
like
with
a
us
red
for
wizard
a while,
or something. Yeah.
And the whole time George was like, I'm on her side. I'm not with you guys. I'm with her.
On her side.
I want to say it has something to do with the genocide of the Sloths.
The Grung were the frogs. That was the
the frog people. Yeah,
that was probably the best organic one we've had. Where it's like that was not at all in your backstory at the beginning of the campaign, and it just ended up by the end of the campaign.
That's his whole deal. That's his whole deal.
That's your whole deal.
Oh yeah, I don't remember who it was.
I don't either.
But yeah, he was willing to join them as long as all the drunk would be killed.
Yeah, as long as all the drunk would be killed. I'm so bad I can't remember parts of my own campaign. God, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Here's
I remember the conversations about like George just being like low key, like if it comes down to you guys or her, I'm with her.
But I remember that part of it, so I was kind of playing on that a little bit with Avarice saying like, hey, you would be like really interested in like restoring the city instead of trying to shut this shit down, which obviously from what you're saying, like, wait, you don't really think you can do that. I was thinking about blasting it back. It's like, well, wait, you guys don't think you can just shut this shit down, right? Like,
I mean, that's fair.
And you could go back and forth.
I was half expecting that. Like, well, do you know how to shut it down? It's like, we'll figure it out when we get there.
Yeah. That was kind of her attitude as well. Everybody's just overconfident of their situation.
Yeah.
Which I figure is very much an Arcane Brotherhood thing.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to ask her too, like what her goal was.
Yeah.
Try to see if I wanted to side with her.
So
I kind of wanted to ask, but it didn't come up. But like, why Valravn was so against pairing up with her? Like, it just instantly he was like against it. Like, I don't care what you just said, Avarice, but I don't want to do it.
I think his logic at this point is it like I don't know if it's maybe my misunderstanding of the events of things, but his whole goal at this point is to shut the Mithril down. He's assuming that will not only cause these reality tears to stop, and it will also end the endless night, probably by not making Arl so angry anymore. So yeah, his assumption is that all these wizards just want to like take the Mithril and like do crazy shit with wizard shit with it.
Stupid wizard shit. Yeah. And I did try to rewrite Avarice a little bit, not rewrite, but add motivations that were different than Valish and Nasus. So it wasn't just, I want to absorb the Mithril and become all powerful, because that was their motivation. Her motivation, I really tried to give her almost a class status issue, and she called out Valen as being, hey, you're just a rich asshole, and I've dealt with rich assholes all my life, and I don't want to like fuck all this. Like, I had to work my ass off
before this, that she was some sort of noble or something.
Yeah. And that was kind of I tried to make her, not just a generic mustache-twirling villain, but somebody with kind of realistic motivations and really a chip on her shoulder. And she kind of exposed that a little bit to say like, hey, here's what I think, and I think we should, restore, like, fuck trying to turn this over to the Arcane Brotherhood. We should just try to restore this city, and we can, together we can rule the galaxy.
And if she's even half right, we may have problems with Valen down the line. If Valen wants to turn this over to Arcane Brotherhood, I feel like we're gonna have a problem with that. Like, this whole city, I don't know. It seems to be at this point, this whole city needs to be just shut back down into the ice and left alone.
I mean, one of the fun things I'm hoping to set up is a very interesting final sequence where you guys have a lot of very big decisions that you have to make.
Yeah.
And it's a very tough thing to open it up to the floor to that regard.
Right.
You almost, I feel like open game design, where it's like, I don't want
Edmund being so interested in Charlatan and science, I thought he may have a problem with that. Like, just leaving the city back in the ice, to never be seen again. I don't know. But yeah.
I did say I was going to call her.
I got her digits, man. I got her digits.
I got a number.
I was hinting that I'm interested in what she's saying.
Yeah.
See, I knew it. That's he's my go-to.
Yeah.
Frey's my go-to for murdering the party herself, and then Edmund's my go-to for scheming
engaging.
against.
Exactly.
Oh man, I really thought she was going to teleport into that ice devil thing and start making a deal. I was like, this came out of nowhere. I did not expect this. I don't even know what. If she were on Frostside Jet, I'd love to ask her. Like, she pulled back in the last second, I noticed, but notice how I was pretty quiet. I was like, I'm not going to shut this down.
Heather even said it. She said, like, I didn't think that was going to work.
Yeah.
I think she was just kind of joking.
I think she was.
I want to try to teleport in there, like, and like she's going to roll a 12 and it wasn't going to work.
I stayed pretty quiet because I was like, if she wants to do it, I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to totally roll with it and see. And the ice devil wouldn't necessarily be hostile. He'd just be like, I want souls, so what do you got?
Yeah. What souls you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely would have overcomplicated everything, though, because that's, again, that creature only has as much story prevalence as you guys want it to, so.
Right.
And
So
and,
we've
and
given it some, but
adding
it's over
NPC
now.
adding NPCs to your party has never been a big priority for me because I'm constantly doing that in this campaign.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
got plenty of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else about session 86? I think right now we are officially tied with Tomb's campaign for a number of sessions.
Okay. And we're in what seems like the final area, so
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how many sessions are left, but I would be gosh, I'm pretty sure we can end this campaign in May. We got 2 more weeks of
Really?
April. Yeah. In 6 weeks? Yeah, I think this campaign will be over in 6 weeks.
Oh, 6 weeks. Okay, yeah,
Right?
that
Because
makes sense.
that
Yeah,
gives us through the end of May.
that's true. Yeah.
In 2 weeks, we'll have reached the chronological 2-year point, so I think we will pass that.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exciting
2
stuff.
years.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
I know. Honestly, and I've talked about before how I'm not going to start my next campaign for a while. We'll let we'll take a little bit of a break, hiatus, and then we'll let some other folks do some DM stuff and some smaller stuff. And then honestly, probably when I do my next campaign, it's not going to be as big as this one.
Yeah.
Because I took this one and then I lengthened it. I made it even larger and longer and let you guys get to higher levels. But the consequence is it's taken us 2 full
It's
years.
lasted 2 years.
That is a long time to have the energy to do it. I appreciate. We made jokes about not remembering NPC names, but like stuff like that is a real thing. Like in real life,
That's true.
it is hard.
Months go by.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to keep up that narrative energy, and even for me as a DM when I'm locked into it. So,
Yep.
I've enjoyed it, but it's definitely a long one. Yeah, it's big. All right, I think that will do it for this week's session of Frostside Chat. Thank you to Chris and Raymond for joining me, and thank you to the fans for watching, and we see you all next week.
See you then.
Bye.